It got us wondering, why are the changes so controversial? The test would have a new English-speaking section, and instead of an oral civics quiz, applicants will answer multiple-choice questions. They would be questions like, what's the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution? Who takes over if the president and vice president can't serve? That would be the Speaker of the House. When was the Constitution written? 1787. And also name one of the two longest rivers in the United States, which are the Mississippi and the Missouri. Keep in mind that right now, 90% of people who take the test pass. Another 6% passed a re-exam. Wendy Falb is executive director of the Literacy Center of Western Michigan. Her group is part of the new test pilot. We appreciate you being with us, Wendy. I understand that you have some concerns or complaints about the new test. What are they?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure. We haven't seen the new questions on the test. We've only seen what you have seen in the media. So back in 2020, when we saw the additional questions and saw additional barriers for the test, we were very concerned and happy when they removed those recently. We work with the USCIS directly on helping people pass that citizenship test by removing English as a barrier.
I get that. We put it up, at least some of the questions, they're new questions. Compared to other countries, 10 questions, passing grade in the United States is 60%. Germany, 33 questions, passing is 50%. Intermediate level rather than high level of English here in the high beginner level of English, so it's higher in Germany. Canada, 20 questions, passing grade 75%. UK, 24 questions, 75% as well. So we're pretty much at the bottom here in terms of what we require people. You've come back to this issue of English proficiency, and I get the concern that there's going to be people who've been here who want to become citizens but who don't have the English skills. We know that people who know English well have better employment opportunities and better opportunities to become engaged in the American democracy. We've seen that proven. So why is demanding people who want to become citizens know the language that allows them to thrive the best a problem?
I didn't say that was a problem, and that's the law of the land. I don't think it's a problem hoping and expecting people are going to have English language proficiency. That's the work and the mission we do here at the Literacy Center. We know that better than anyone. Knowing the dominant language and being proficient has a huge impact on health outcomes, employment outcomes, and the next generation's outcomes. You put up the statistics about the other countries, and my question would be, is that the right comparison to make in terms of the percentage of people passing? I think the real question is to ask, is this test something that's going to assess whether someone is going to be a great citizen, whether they're prepared for civic participation in the United States? And will the changes help improve the outcome that the people that will pass will be better citizens? And so part of my challenge is if there are U.S.-born citizens.
I don't know how you test. I don't know how you test for it. It's a great point. Wendy, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And I'd be remiss without saying, I know there's a lot of people who benefit from the work you guys do who now get to be part of the American experiment because of what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a wonderful process to watch and be witness to.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.